Big 12, in my opinion, has become an irrelevant conference, but the College Football Playoff Committee continues to prop up the Big 12 champ, even though Oklahoma and Texas have left for the SEC. So, my question to you today, Mason, is the Big 12 a relevant conference in today's college football in your eyes?
I think that the Big 12 in particular is going to have a very niche market of college football fans, true college football fans. If you're talking about a national scale, right? True college football fans are going to gravitate towards the Big 12 because it is going to be a very competitive league. And not in a sense of competing for championships on a national scale, but in a sense of there being a lot of parity. I don't know that there's a conference that has more parity than the Big 12, right? There's a lot of teams in this conference that bigger schools may not necessarily want to play because they might get upset by them, right? And it's just filled like from top to bottom. That's what this conference is based off of is teams that are going to go in there. It's going to be super mixy, and teams are going to get in there and look like the best team in the country one week, and then they're going to get beat by the third worst team in the conference the next. And I think that from that aspect, I'm very excited for the Big 12. However, if we're just talking about playoffs and just talking about national championships, I don't see how they're going to be too relevant. Not saying that they never win a playoff game or anything like that, but it's going to take a lot for a team to dominate this conference and make a run for the national championship and win it, or just really just make a run and get there. I think that that's a pretty far shot at this point in the game, but I'm anxious to hear kind of your thoughts on it, and then if you want to take us into a team that you think maybe will reign supreme in this conference of sort of middle of the pack teams.
Well, I think the Big 12 has done a good job um, as far as keeping the value of this conference, even though I think a lot of college football fans, now that Oklahoma and Texas have left, kind of look at this conference um, as a bit of a junior league. And I'm not saying that there's not good football players in the Big 12 or anything like that. It's the third best conference, I think, in the country. And they just don't recruit Mason to the level of these SEC and Big 10 teams. And I think we're going to go over Oklahoma's and Texas's schedule later in this show. Um, we're I think we're going to see even Oklahoma and Texas have some situations where it's like, okay, this offseason, like we have to bulk up to go face these guys. It's a totally different league, man. Like even even Texas and Oklahoma are going to have their struggles at certain times, adapting to playing the SEC on a week in and week out basis. So you look at these Big 12 teams. What's going to happen whenever they get in the playoff? I don't like how the playoff committee is talking through both sides of their mouth. At a one side of their mouth, they're giving the Big 12 conference champ an automatic bid, saying we value the Big 12. That means we value the Big 12 a lot, actually, if you really think about it, because there's only 12 out of 130 teams getting in, 133 or whatever it is. So they're saying they value that a lot. Now, we're going to see in, I guess it would be at the end of October or very beginning of November, we're going to see how much respect that college football playoff committee actually has, because they're going to put out their top 25 rankings. And for the first time in college football history, those top 25 rankings are going to mean so much more to us because they'll be able to pick 12 teams now.
Mm-hmm.
So half of that top 25 is going to a playoff, a little less than half. So we're going to see then how much respect the college football playoff committee has for the Big 12. And then I think we'll be able to fully answer this question without an opinion, with actual fact. I don't think they're going to be valued like very much in those rankings, which is why I say the College Football Playoff Committee is speaking out of both sides of their mouth. They value them enough to give them an automatic bid and a bye, but I don't think they're going to value them enough, their strength of schedule and their resumes enough to, highly rank a whole lot more of them. So we'll see. I think that this will be answered definitively. My thoughts are obviously no. I don't think that they're a relevant conference. I don't think we're going to have a Big 12 national champion, at least for a long time. It's going to be a long time. I mean, who could win a national championship out of this group? Utah? I mean, I don't know. But to answer that second part of your question, I guess I just kind of did. I may have just spilled the beans. Utah, I guess, would be the team that I think has got the best chance to pretty much just do their thing. I mean, I think UCF is a good team. I think Oklahoma State is a decent team at times. Now, are they national championship caliber? No, I don't think that at all. Arizona was on their way back, and then Jed Fish left for Washington. So I think that kind of takes the wind out of their sails. Arizona State can't get their crap straight. Colorado ranks like 100th in recruiting. So I don't care how good they are in the transfer portal. They're not going to do anything nationally. So, I mean, you can go down the list, but I mean, other than Utah, I can't really think of a team that really is a perennial top 15 team, or a top 25 team, really, even. A lot of these teams are up and down. Is there a team that you've got your eye on that you feel good about for the Big 12 kind of going forward, or at least the next couple years?
Well, I think, first of all, you kind of have to look a few years into the future and see. To me, at least, I'm thinking about a team that can win now with the current players in the Big 12 and become conference champions, right? Um, Playoff aside, right? Let's just put that aside for now. We're talking just the Big 12 conference, and with that momentum, you win it, 2 out of the next 3 years or whatever. Then you can start recruiting a little bit better, right? And recruiting better talent and bringing in better transfer portal players from bigger schools who maybe aren't getting the chance that they think they deserve, right? You get
Mhm.
those step down players, and then you just got to hit on a few of the step up players who are going to transfer to a bigger program, but you got to find those diamonds in the rough and develop that talent. And a team that I think does a really good job of that is Kansas State and Chris Kleiman. I really like what they've done. They've got Avery Johnson there this year, who was a 5-star quarterback by some services coming out of high school. He's a dual threat guy. I love the tools. I love what he does, and I think he's going to be really pretty elite for them. I think he's a future pro quarterback, and I think with him coming in, and they've made some pretty good moves in the transfer portal in the past. I think they'll continue to make those moves and really take a stab now at the Big 12, which is more open than it's ever been for them to come in and win. So I'm excited for Kansas State. I like Kyle Whittingham. I like where you're going with Utah. I think that they're going to have a really strong chance as well to win right away. And one other team that I can think of is Kansas. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy this year, I think Kansas can win right away. I
Yeah.
really like what Lance Leipold's done with them. And but ultimately for me, I think it comes down to who can win, who can be the king of the Big 12, right? The team that can be the king of the Big 12 can eventually set themselves up to make a push in the playoffs. It's just hard to see that with where we're at right now in college football and
Yeah.
what these teams are right now. But push ahead 5 years into the future when, one of these programs is going to be the big fish in a small pond, right? Can it be big enough to land you in the national championship? I don't know, but that's probably the best way that it does, divulge into that is if a team wins right now, wins consistently for the next few years, retains their head coach, right, pays them a lot of money to retain him, and can go out and recruit and hit on some players, develop those players, and become sort of a dynasty in that conference. That's really what it's going to take to attract the talent that you need in coaching and in players to make a push for a national championship.
Yeah, dude. I agree 100%. But if somebody can come in and dominate, it's going to be kind of like the old school days where the computer was coming up with the rankings for these Big 12 teams. It's going to be like you got to show out. You got to go dominate. You got to blow teams out. You got to win all those games that you're supposed to win, and then you'll get the respect, I think, from the college football playoff committee. I think in that case, I just don't see a team that's poised to do that year in and year out. I think Kansas State, Utah, um, I think Central Florida is in a good location to be able to do so.
And don't sleep on TCU either, because I think
Yeah,
they're in a great spot, you know, geographically. Um, they're the team that made it to the national championship most recently. So,
yeah,
and I do like Sonny Dykes a lot. I think it was a tough year for them coming off of the national championship, but I
yeah.
think that they'll right the ship this year and in 25 as well. So that they could end up being the team that does it first, honestly. But it's like I said, it's super mixy. We don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen. I do think there's so much parity in this league. I think it's going to be really freaking fun to watch.
Well,
I'm
and
actually really excited for it.
that's what I was about to say. I don't want to put it off as I don't think the Big 12 is going to be entertaining, because it
Yeah.
will be entertaining. It will be a good product. And that's kind of what I started off with. You know, they've already announced their media day is going to be in Las Vegas. Everything they do is going to be a big show. They're going to do a good job putting on a good show. And that's why I like this Big 12 commissioner. I think he's done a
Mhm.
good job. On the basketball side of things, they're absolutely killing it. They're gobbling up some huge basketball programs. I'm not a huge college basketball guy, but um, they do have some great teams as far as that goes. Let's jump into